Hello and welcome to this Early Autism Services presentation on communication and AAC, or Augmentative Alternative Communication. Communication is an essential part of our everyday lives. Learning to communicate with others helps us to build connections, learn new things, and access the world around us. Today, we will discuss what communication may look like for a child who is nonverbal. This presentation was created by Chrissy Schenk, National Lead Speech Pathologist for Early Autism Services. Okay, let's get started. You will often hear the term AAC used when discussing what communication options there are for a nonverbal child. AAC is short for Augmentative Alternative Communication. This is any type of communication that is non-verbalizations. AAC can be as simple as facial expressions, writing a note, or as complex as sign language or using a high-tech communication device. Any type of AAC can be permanent or temporary and is used by a wide variety of people with speech and language impairments. Alternative communication is not limited to nonverbal individuals on the autism spectrum. It is used for a wide variety of diagnoses, varying all in ages from 2 years old to adulthood. Let's discuss who uses AAC. This can be anyone who is unable to communicate with verbalized speech. Again, this can be permanent. For example, individuals on the autism spectrum who will remain nonverbal and need a form of functional communication, or temporary. For instance, a traumatic brain injury patient who uses AAC while rehabilitating speech and language skills. AAC is ideal for any person who is not able to speak enough to meet all of their communication needs. These communication needs include asking questions, providing information, socializing, making requests, and commenting on the environment, and so much more. The following are a few examples of AAC. Although high-tech communication devices such as Prolo to Go or Touch Chat on an iPad is becoming more and more common, it's important to remember that there are many options for AAC users. Some more examples include no-tech sign language, facial expressions, gestures, and eye gazes. Low tech can include single button switches or single buttons with voice output. Mid-tech examples are voice output devices designated for a grid size of 2 to 10 vocabulary words. And then more high-tech examples include iPads, eye gaze devices with voice output, and so much more. Next, we'll discuss the what and why of communication, as in what are the main purposes for communication or why do we use it? Previously, AAC was taught primarily for children or individuals to make requests and ask for things that they needed or wanted. This could include food items, preferred toys, reinforcement, bathroom, help, etc. As the AAC world continues to grow, with new research being conducted every year, we have learned that there are many different purposes for communication, and it is important for a person to be well-rounded and have skills in each of these areas. The first is gaining attention. This can be as simple as walking up and tapping the individual on the shoulder or calling out for a parent on a device. Gaining attention is critical to language development because, by definition, a communicative act requires at least 2 people who exchange information. If a child is an AAC user, it is critical to teach him or her to gain attention of the partner before attempting further communication. Otherwise, they may be talking to an empty room. Next is commenting. For neurotypical children who develop language, there is a period of time that you notice things such as pointing and labeling objects, like cars, planes, and dogs. This is a wonderful skill for communicators to have. Commenting on the environment helps build your intent to develop relationships with others by sharing your thoughts on the world around you. The third communication function is seeking information. Learning to ask questions is extremely helpful in understanding daily routines, learning new information, and so much more. Next is requesting. Requesting is one of the most commonly used communication strategies for young children, as it is easy to keep the child engaged when they're requesting and receiving highly desired items. Social routine. Now, social routines are a part of our everyday lives. Social routines include greetings, farewells, asking simple conversational questions such as, "How are you?" or "How was your weekend?" Social routine can be a powerful tool to help teach communication skills, as it is helping the individual increase awareness of those around them, as well as learn the natural reward of interacting with others. Protesting. Being able to say no is a very powerful tool for AAC users. Learning to protest or state when they do not want something to happen is another type of communication function that is very important for children to learn. Other more advanced communication functions include maintaining conversations, like asking follow-up questions and answering on topic, or giving information, such as, "I feel sick," or "something on my body is hurting." The who, where, and why of communication. Our goal as AAC helpers is to be sure to generalize the child's communication to multiple settings with a variety of communication partners. Learning to communicate with only one person, like your speech language pathologist, in one location, like the therapy room, is not sustainable for building long-term functional communication. Collaboration is key. Working closely with the child's school team, as well as clinic staff, siblings, grandparents, or anyone in a child's life, is critical to communicative success. Here's an example of a very powerful message that helps us understand what it means to be an alternative communicator. The average 18-month-old child has been exposed to 4,380 hours of oral language at a rate of 8 hours per day from birth. Now, a child who has a communication system and receives speech language therapy 2 times per week for 20 to 30-minute sessions will reach the same amount of language exposure in 84 years. To teach a child to communicate through AAC means that we must use it ourselves. Learning a new communication system is essentially learning another language. It would be very difficult to learn that language if you did not have anyone modeling how to use it for you. Try using this activity board to create a sentence about what you did last weekend. Take a moment and pause this video while you do this. As you can see, it can be very challenging to be given a communication system and be told to use it right away. It takes time, exposure, and lots of practice to become fluent in any specific system. To be competent in understanding what communication truly looks like, it's important to break down the 3 main types of vocabulary. There are 3 types of words that are used in any language or communication system: core, fringe, and personal core. What is core vocabulary? Core vocabulary is the 250 to 400 words that make up 75% to 85% of what we say. These core vocabulary words are the same across any gender, age, topic, setting, ability, or disability. In addition, core vocabulary are words that we need to foundationally understand in order to build language and expand our vocabulary. What are the examples of these words? Example of core vocabulary words are broken down into categories here. Verbs such as go, get, do, want, like, play, stop are all examples of core vocabulary. Other examples include adjectives, prepositions, pronouns, interjections, question words, and adverbs. Now, do we notice what category is missing? The answer is nouns. If nouns are not core words, then what are they? Fringe vocabulary are the millions of words that make up the other 15 to 25% of what we say. These vocabulary words do differ across settings, age, gender, occupation, topics, or culture. Here are a few examples of some fringe vocabulary words. These words are generally nouns, but can vary. Fringe vocabulary is usually more specific to the individual. The fringe vocabulary of an adult will be very different than a child, for example. The next type of vocabulary is personal core. These are words that are frequently used by the child. They can be from any word class and are generally lifelong words. Can you think of any examples of words that are specific to you or your family? Many examples include child's names, family words, pets' names, etc. What would a few personal core words be for you? Now it's time to test some of our knowledge. As we discussed, we know that there are three types of words: core, fringe, and personal core. This slide has a list of words. Pause for a moment and decide which of these are core and which are fringe. Go ahead and pause this video. Here are the answers. Moana, fringe. She is core. Walk, core. Surfboard, fringe. Help, core. Read, core. So how'd you do? There are three main types of strategies to help build our communication competence. The first is aided language stimulation, which we will discuss more during today's presentation. The other two are chain of cues and sabotage, which will be discussed more in detail at a later time. What is aided language stimulation? Take a look at the diagram in front of you and tell me what word stands out to you, as it is used in every box. Model. Aided language stimulation is another way of discussing how we can efficiently and effectively model communication to our AAC user. As mentioned before, in order to teach AAC, we must use AAC ourselves. Modeling for any child is the fastest and most effective way to learn vocabulary. Most importantly, we want to model language in a variety of contexts. Do not limit modeling opportunities to only during speech therapy or only at school. Generalizing communication skills helps build lifelong communicators. Model in a natural context. Contriving situations to model how to use AAC can be useful, but it's always best to model AAC as often as possible in a natural context. Here's an example of positive aided language stimulation in a natural context. Have the child's AAC device accessible during dinner and talk about what the family's eating while having other family members use the device as well. Model a broad range of communication functions, as we discussed during the what and why part of our understanding AAC and communication. We now know that requesting is only one small piece of what it means to be a competent communicator. We want to model things such as commenting, asking questions, social routines, gaining attention, and so much more. Requesting "I want an item" is great only for teaching the child how to request items. Model how symbols can be used to say real things in real situations. A wonderful example of this would be the core vocabulary word help. Teaching a child to request help in a therapeutic setting that he or she may not need help is not nearly as effective as recognizing when a child is in need of assistance, traveling to the communication system and requesting help in that moment. As often as possible, use the child's real-life communication opportunities to practice and learn. Model mistakes and repair strategies. As a parent, therapist, BCBA, family member, or any type of AAC helper, please remember that making mistakes when modeling is a great thing. If you are searching for a word and need to backtrack and start over because you made a mistake in your search, the child is watching and learning how to repair their mistakes in the future. In general, it is much more important to try your best to use the communication system and sometimes have errors versus avoiding using the communication system because you are unsure how. Always try and work with your speech language pathologist on any roadblocks that may occur. So let's review. Learning communication is essential for every person's quality of life. Learning AAC takes time and patience. It is a team effort. And always remember that modeling is the key to learning a new language. Thank you for watching this presentation on augmentative alternative communication. If you're interested in learning more about our therapy programs here at Early Autism Services, or you'd like to schedule a free consultation, please feel free to reach out to our team at info@earlyautismservices.com or visit our website, earlyautismservices.com.